Today on Monson Made This, I'm sick of being sweet. Today I am making 3 recipes that all start out with these amazing steel cut oats. Now I'm going to be doing something I haven't ever done on this channel before. I'm cooking without any salt, without any oil, without any sugar. These are pretty much gluten-free, allergen-free, so they're super healthy, good for anybody with any specific dietary restrictions, or if you're maybe just trying to eat a little bit healthier, because these are packed with whole grains and vegetables and greens, and they are amazing. So I'm gonna be making a mushroom risotto version of these savory oats. I'm going to be making a curried chickpea version, and finally I'm going to be making a chili version, which is sort of a Southwest black bean chili style. So I'll be making most things back here on the stove, so I'll probably meet you over there now. With all 3 of these recipes, they're gonna start out with very similar ingredients. Of course, we have the steel cut oats, like I had mentioned. We're going to be using water. You could use some sort of vegan chicken broth or veggie broth instead of water. Nutritional yeast, which is gonna go in all of them to bring up the flavor because we're not using any salt. Some onions, garlic, and some type of green. This first one I'm gonna be making here, which is the risotto version, is going to have spinach in it. Another one will have kale. So to make this the mushroom risotto version, we're of course going to be adding some sliced cremini mushrooms. I also have some dried mushrooms to boost up the flavor a little bit. And then I have a collection of spices here: garlic powder, onion powder, some Italian seasoning, and a bit of red pepper flakes. So we're gonna be just starting to add things to the pan here and water saute some things and then throw everything in, and it's gonna cook for 10 minutes. It's super easy. And then you have a delicious meal for breakfast, lunch, dinner, snack. Let's start dumping. I'm going to turn my pan onto medium heat to start out with, and I'm going to add my mushrooms. That's about 5 or 6 small little cremini mushrooms, just chopped up thinly. Going to add about 1/4 cup of onion. I just chopped all this onion once for all 3 of my dishes, so I'm using it a bit sparingly. And I'm gonna add just a tiny bit of water to this to do a water saute. That way I'm not using any oil, but nothing sticks to the bottom of the pan. So I'm gonna let these go for a few minutes, then I'm going to add the garlic and the spices before I add the remaining ingredients. These have been cooking up for just a couple of minutes. The water that I put in has evaporated, the mushrooms have cooked down, and you can see we're getting a little bit of color, which is cool. If you wanted to wait to add the water after the mushrooms and onions have cooked for a little bit, you're gonna get a little bit more color, but there's flavor in that color. So I'm going to now add my garlic. I'm just pressing that in. And then just to kind of, I don't know, pick up the flavors a little bit, I'm just going to cook the spices in here for a moment. Okay, that looks good. Now I'm going to add my 1/2 cup of oats, and every single one of these recipes is 1/2 cup of oats. For the full recipe, by the way, they will be posted in a link below. And then 1.5 cups of water for every 1/2 cup. Now I'm gonna keep my eye on this. It will cook for 10 minutes once it comes to a boil. And I will just keep an eye on the water to make sure there's enough in here. I want this to be a risotto consistency, so if it looks like it's drying out a bit, I'm just gonna add a bit more. So there's 1.5 cups of water. Add my dried shiitake mushrooms. You could use any type of dry mushrooms or just eliminate those altogether. Stir this up. And I have also brought the heat up to a higher level. It's on high right now. The last flavor component I'm adding is a 1/4 cup of nutritional yeast. You want between about 3 and 4 cups. I'll start with, I'm gonna start with an 1/8 cup. I might add a little bit more later. And then just keep an eye on this, making sure nothing sticks to the bottom. As soon as it comes to a boil, we're gonna turn it down to low, let it simmer, and wait our 10 minutes. All right, as you can see here, it came to a boil, and now I'm going to turn it down to low, and we just want it on a very light simmer, maybe just 1 or 2 little bubbles at a time. And we'll keep stirring it occasionally. You don't want to walk away too far, because you don't want anything to stick to the bottom. And like I said, we'll wait 10 minutes and then it's pretty much done. 10 minutes is up. My risotto oats are done. I don't know if you can see it here, but they're beautiful consistency, just like risotto. And so the last thing I need to do here is add a cup of spinach that I have chopped up and the juice of half a lemon. Now, it's said that if you're not using salt, by adding acid like lemon juice, it kind of tricks your palate into thinking you've eaten something salty. And Ben seems to think that lemony things taste bitter, so I don't know if that's true for everybody, but I do notice that adding a bit of lemon to these dishes definitely picks it up and gives you that kind of satisfying, salty experience. So I'm just gonna lightly stir this together. I'm gonna put a lid on it, let it hang out, let the spinach wilt, and then I will meet back up with you to plate this beautiful dish. The first of our 3 savory oat dishes is done. It's been just over a minute. The spinach here has had a chance to wilt up. I'm just gonna stir it around here. And now we're going to plate it up, and I'm gonna put some fresh basil on top. So excited for this. Here we go, let's give this a taste. You don't even miss the salt and the oil, although if you wanted to add it, you definitely could. The basil adds a nice fragrance to this. It's really got a nice strong mushroom flavor. As well, normally, oats cook in about 40, 30 minutes, especially steel cut oats. So the fact that we're only cooking this 10 minutes really leaves a nice al dente texture. So this is amazing. I'm gonna set this aside though, reset, and I'll meet you back at the stove as we make our next one, which is a curried chickpea. And we're back. It's time to make the curried chickpea oats. So in terms of ingredients, we have more of our onion. This time I'm going to be using kale instead of the spinach. I have curry powder, onion powder, and garlic powder, about a ½ cup of chickpeas, again, a ½ cup of oats, and some more nutritional yeast. Last thing I have is some no salt added tomato paste. So this is super, super easy. We're just gonna dump everything here in the pot, bring it to a simmer, let it go for 10 minutes, and it's ready. So let's start dumping. Again, we're gonna turn the pan up to medium heat. Now you could make this a little bit stronger in flavor by developing the onions and the tomato paste together in here, but we're going for ease today, so we're just going to be adding everything to the pan at the same time. So I've got my oats in there, I've got my onions, ½ cup of chickpeas, nutritional yeast. Gonna have onion powder, garlic powder, and curry powder with a bit of red pepper flake in there as well. Now I have my kale, and this is going here at the beginning. With spinach, we just want that to wilt at the end. Kale takes a little bit longer to cook, so we're going to allow that to cook the entire time. 1 clove of garlic. Again, 1½ cups of water. And finally, our tomato paste. You want just about a tablespoon or so of this. So let's mix it all together. We'll wait for it to come to a boil. I'll probably turn up the heat a little bit more. Wait for it to come to a boil, bring it down to low, simmer 10 minutes, and we're ready to serve. 10 minutes is up. The kale has cooked down. This is thickened up. The house smells amazing. So I've turned the heat off. I'm going to do one last thing, just like I did last time, which is add a squeeze. These lemons are huge. The juice of a ½ lemon. And I'm just gonna stir this in, and then I'm gonna put a lid on it, let it set for 1 minute, and then I'll meet you back over there to plate it up. smells so good. So I just added some of that yogurt with cilantro to the top, a little bit more cilantro for garnish. I love that curry flavor. So good. The kale too adds a nice texture. The chewiness again of those oats, so good. Nice vibrance from that lemon juice. You've got to give this one a try. All right, well, I can't get filled up on this because I have one more to make, and that is our chili-inspired savory oats. So I'll meet you back at the stove to do those. Here we are at our third and final savory oat, and this one is a black bean chili style. So what we have here is a ton of spices, ancho chili powder, paprika, garlic powder, onion powder, a little bit of cinnamon, some cumin, and some coriander. So we're just gonna throw these into the pot. We have some fire roasted tomatoes, just about a half cup of those. Half cup of black beans. Quarter cup of onions. Special treat here, 2 tablespoons of diced green chili. Those are hot ones. You can obviously choose mild if you want. We have our oats, half cup. Nutritional yeast. We're going to be using spinach in this one, so I won't be adding that one until the end. I'm going to press this garlic in it, add the water, and then we'll turn it up and get it simmering. Everything's in the pot, the water's in there, temperature is up on medium high. Just like we did the last couple of times, we're going to bring it up to a boil, turn it to low, and just let it go for 10 minutes, keeping an eye on it, making sure nothing sticks to the bottom. And it's just as easy as the last two, so I'll see you on the other side. After 10 minutes, I added the spinach and let it hang out for 1 minute. Now I'm just going to add some lime juice. That's the juice of half of a lime. And just mix that in. Now I'm going to be serving this with a dollop of that Greek yogurt once again, and a bit of cilantro. So excited to give this chili one a try. Now all 3 of these will thicken up quite a bit if they set for a while, so if it's a little bit too thin, just give it a couple more minutes. That lime juice picks all the flavors up. You really don't miss the salt necessarily. I know some of you definitely will, but it's really good, really rich, really hearty, and this is gonna keep you full for definitely a few hours. As you can see, these 3 recipes came together super quick. We had a risotto style oat, we had a chili style oat, and a chickpea curry style, and they were all 3 very different flavors and incredible. Even though they may look a little bit similar here in these glamour shots, they're definitely very unique in their own styles and flavors. So experiment with this. Oats just aren't for brown sugar and cinnamon. You can definitely do some amazing savory things as well. I definitely recommend you playing around with these steel cut oats. They're incredible. Now, all of these dishes were inspired by a dish that I made from the Prevent and Reverse Heart Disease Cookbook by Jane Esselstyn, and I just made that one dish in there and was so inspired that I came up with these, and I've been eating them every morning and feeling great. Most of you are probably gonna taste these and say there's no salt, there's no seasoning, they're terrible, so definitely season them to taste. If they're bland to you, definitely salt them up so that they taste good to you. These were intentionally though made without any salt, oil, sugar, so they're going to be maybe a little bit bland to the average person. So I hope you enjoyed these. I hope you're inspired by these. I will see you next week for a brand new recipe video. And follow me on Instagram at Monson Made This. Also check out my website, monsonmadethis.com, where all of these recipes will be posted. Enjoy these oats. I will see you next week for another recipe video.